4 billion years ago, something hit us. Not a meteor, not a comet, a planet, roughly the size of Mars. Scientists call it Theia. It came in at an angle, moving at several kilometers per second, and struck the early Earth with enough force to vaporize the outer layers of both bodies simultaneously. The collision released more energy than the Sun produces in 1,000,000 years. The debris field that resulted was visible from the outer solar system. That debris did not scatter into space. Gravity pulled it into a ring around what was left of Earth. Over the next few thousand years, that ring collapsed inward on itself, clumped, compressed, and became a single body. We call it the Moon. It is not a decoration, it is not a coincidence. And if it had never formed, the planet you are standing on right now would be unrecognizable. Not hostile in the way we usually mean hostile. Something stranger than that. Something the word hostile does not quite fit. The question is not what the Moon looks like. Everyone knows what it looks like. The question is what it does, and what it has been doing, quietly, without credit, for 4 billion years. Because without it, almost nothing about Earth's biology, geology, or climate would have produced anything resembling what we call life. The Moon is 384,000 kilometers away. That is roughly the distance you would travel if you drove around the equator of the Earth 9.5 times. At that distance, an object 3,474 kilometers wide is holding our planet steady in ways that took science centuries to understand. The first thing to go, without the Moon, is the tilt. Earth rotates on an axis that is currently tilted at 23.5 degrees relative to the plane of its orbit around the Sun. That tilt is why seasons exist. Summer happens in the northern hemisphere when the axis points toward the Sun. Winter happens when it points away. The tilt is constant enough that life has had 4 billion years to build itself around it. Migrations, hibernation cycles, monsoon patterns, the reproductive timing of nearly every complex organism on Earth, all of it is calibrated to the reliable rhythm of a tilted planet. Without the Moon, that tilt becomes unstable. This is not a hypothesis, it is orbital mechanics. The Moon's gravitational pull acts as a stabilizer, preventing Earth's axial tilt from drifting freely the way Mars does. Mars has no large moon. Its axial tilt has varied between 10 and 60 degrees over geological time. 60 degrees. At that angle, the poles point almost directly at the Sun for part of the year. The equatorial regions fall into permanent shadow for the other part. The concept of a stable climate zone, the kind where complex life can persist across millions of generations without the ground rules changing, ceases to exist. Earth without the Moon would do the same thing, possibly worse. The range of drift, according to models run by Jacques Laskar and his team at the Paris Observatory in the 1990s, could swing Earth's tilt anywhere from near zero to over 85 degrees on timescales of millions of years. Those swings would not be slow enough for life to adapt, they would be fast enough to kill it. At near zero tilt, the equator receives direct sunlight year-round. The poles receive almost none. The result is permanent ice sheets covering most of the planet's surface with a narrow band of extreme heat along the equator. Seasonal mixing of the oceans, which drives nutrients from the deep up to the surface, nearly stops. The food chains built on that process collapse. At 85 degrees, the axis is nearly horizontal relative to the Sun. Each pole faces the Sun directly for half the year, heating to temperatures that melt ice completely, then plunging into 6 months of darkness and cold that refreezes everything. The resulting floods, droughts, and temperature swings would occur on a scale that makes the ice ages look like seasonal weather. If you are watching this and you have never thought about the Moon as anything other than something pretty at night, you are not alone. Most people haven't. Subscribe if you want to keep going. This channel exists for exactly the people who want the version underneath the version, the one that changes how you see the planet you actually live on. The real thing continues now. The second thing to disappear without the Moon is the tides, and losing the tides is not a matter of beaches changing, it is a matter of the origin of complex life itself. The tidal cycle is driven by the Moon's gravity pulling on Earth's oceans as the planet rotates. The Sun also contributes, but only about 40% as much. Without the Moon, tides would still exist. They would be small, roughly a fifth of what we have now. In enclosed bodies of water, they would be nearly undetectable. This matters because the leading hypothesis for where complex life first developed beyond the ocean is the tidal zone, that strip of coastline that floods and drains twice a day. The repeated cycle of wet and dry concentrated nutrients, forced chemical reactions, and created the conditions that may have allowed early organic molecules to become self-replicating. Charles Darwin called it a warm little pond. Modern researchers call it a tidal flat. The mechanism is still debated, but the location keeps returning in the models. Without strong tides, the tidal flat is not a flat. It is a slope. The transition from ocean to land becomes gradual and stable rather than rhythmically stressed. The crucible disappears. And then there is the moon's effect on the length of a day. This one is rarely discussed. When life first appeared on Earth, roughly 3.7 billion years ago, the day was approximately 6 hours long. Earth was rotating nearly 4 times faster than it does now. The moon has been breaking that rotation through tidal friction, transferring angular momentum outward, slowing the planet down by roughly 1.4 milliseconds per century. That is imperceptible in a human lifetime. Across 4 billion years, it is the difference between a 6-hour day and a 24-hour day. A 6-hour day means wind speeds that are not comparable to anything that exists now. Jet streams moving at hundreds of kilometers per hour. Hurricanes that do not dissipate because the atmospheric dynamics that require time to destabilize never get that time. Early Earth, without the moon's breaking, would have remained a faster, more violent planet for far longer. The window of stability that allowed complex life to emerge would have been narrower, possibly too narrow. The moon is also responsible, indirectly, for the existence of a magnetic field. Earth's magnetic field is generated by the movement of liquid iron in the outer core. That movement is driven by the temperature difference between the inner and outer core. The tidal forces the moon exerts on the solid body of the Earth, not just the oceans, create a small additional heat source deep in the interior. Remove the moon entirely, and that contribution disappears. The magnetic field would not collapse immediately, but the energy budget of the core shifts. Over geological timescales, the field weakens. The magnetic field is the thing standing between Earth's atmosphere and the solar wind. Mars once had a magnetic field. It weakened. The solar wind stripped away the Martian atmosphere over hundreds of millions of years. Mars is now a thin, frozen, radiation-soaked surface with an atmospheric pressure roughly 1% of Earth's. Without a moon, the same process could begin here. Not in a human lifetime, not in 1,000 human lifetimes, but in geological time, the trajectory becomes clear. The atmosphere thins, the pressure drops. Liquid water cannot exist below a certain atmospheric pressure, regardless of temperature. It boils directly into vapor. The oceans evaporate. The planet that results is not Mars. Earth is larger, closer to the sun, and still retains more internal heat. But the direction is the same. What would actually be left is a world spinning fast, tilting chaotically, with low tides, a thinning sky, no complex seasons, and an equatorial belt of scorched rock surrounded by shifting zones of ice that migrate unpredictably across the surface every few million years. No coral reefs, no rainforests, no migratory birds, no flowering plants, which require stable seasons to time their reproduction. No large animals, which require stable ecosystems to sustain their caloric needs across a lifetime. Microbial life, possibly. Single-celled organisms are extraordinarily resilient. Some of them might hold on in deep ocean vents, far from the chaos above, but nothing that thinks, nothing that walks, nothing that looks up. The night sky from that world would be different in one other way that is easy to miss. It would be full of stars, uninterrupted, from horizon to horizon. No large pale disk rising in the east, no tidal pools reflecting moonlight back at the surface. No werewolf stories, no month-long calendars, no tidal fishing charts, no Apollo program, no Armstrong, no Aldrin, no moment when a human being stood on another world for the first time and looked back at this one. Just stars. And below them, a fast, tilted, chaotic world that never quite figured out how to become something. Theia hit us at exactly the right angle. The debris formed at exactly the right distance. The moon ended up exactly large enough to stabilize what needed stabilizing, and no larger. The margin for all of that to have gone differently was not small. It was not large. It was whatever margin existed, and it was used up entirely on the world we actually got. If this made you see the moon differently, press like. And here is a question worth leaving in the comments. If you had to name the single thing about Earth that you think gets the least credit for making life possible, what would it be?